Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Being You pod. For anyone who's new here, hi, I'm Bronwyn. I'm a personal trainer and I'm a nutritional therapist, but on a personal note, I am a new mom. I'm 9 months postpartum, which is wild to say, but something that I really miss about prepartum life is being able to listen to podcasts and not be interrupted. I love self-development podcasts. I love health and wellness podcasts. I love true crime podcasts. Thank you to people who have sent in recommendations for true crime podcasts. I will come back with a review of my investigation if you want. But what I don't love about those podcasts now, unfortunately, is they take a seemingly weeks to listen to one episode. I literally had to take my son to daycare this morning. That is a 20-minute drive from door to door. And I got a chunk of a podcast, but I know that when I get back in the car later, I'm going to have to rewind and listen to it, what I listened to already partially again. Basically, it takes forever to get through these episodes. And then I finish a podcast. I'm like, what did I even learn? What did I even listen to? I don't know. So the Being You pod is all about the quiet, the fluff is gone. It's just the information that you need without the waffle, without the ads for now. So that's what we're in. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I have a really cute Band-Aid on my finger because now as a mom, I slice my finger on everything. Yesterday, I was trying to dice onions at warp speed in one of those onion chopper whizzer things. And I was really aggressive with my pulling of the handle, and the lid popped off, the onion went flying everywhere, the blade came flying out, and I sliced my finger. So now I have a really glamorous Band-Aid. I spy a ladybug, a panda, a lion, and a horse. Back to the story here. Today I want to talk all about GLP-1s. And I know if you've been here for a while, you're like, Bronwyn, you do not GLP-1. You don't. I personally don't know. However, I have clients who do, and I have seen firsthand with those clients the hard work that it takes actually to eat on a weight loss medication. And these are people who need GLP-1s for health reasons. I am not working with anybody who is ready for skinny talk and using GLP-1s because it's the glamorous, easiest way to lose 10 pounds. I'm working with people who need to lose more than 30 pounds, more than 50 pounds, more than, I'm trying to think off the top of my head what that would be in kilos, more than 20 kilos in weight for health reasons. So those are the people that I work with. These medications are not something to take lightly. I think they are incredibly useful. But the strategy around using them is not just take this medication, lose all your weight, and be happy. So I want to dive into GLP-1s as a functional practitioner. I recently attended the NTOI conference in Ireland, and NTOI stands for the Nutritional Therapists of Ireland. It is the governing body that I'm registered with as a nutritional therapist. That's something I take a lot of pride in as a professional. I am not just with a degree in nutritional science and therapeutics waffling on here. I am part of a governing body. I am subject to continuing practitioner development every year in order to keep my membership up to date, but also to keep my own knowledge up to date. So I recently attended the NTOI conference, and I was able to attend virtually from the comfort of my own home, which was great. So I could juggle the nap times, I could juggle the lunch, and I could also get a lot of knowledge, which was amazing. So I listened to a presentation on weight loss medication and long-term effects and supportive strategies, how I can better support my clients who are on GLP-1s and support people who are perhaps investigating GLP-1s versus where they might be looking at microdosing GLP-1s versus working up to a substantial dose. I'd love to share a little bit about a client experience on GLP-1, and I'd like to tell you, share with you, inform you on how to move forward if you feel like GLP-1 medication is something down the line for you, something that you're contemplating to better your own health or to use in your toolkit of wellness. So let's dive in. The big thing that we talked about in NTOI was about the long-term side effects of GLP-1 usage, because that is something that is not talked about. And you're sitting here thinking, Bronwyn, what do you mean? The long-term side effect is I lose weight. Yes and no. So for example, pulling up my notes here, I just proudly displayed my notes from when I was scribbling during this presentation a few weeks ago. But on Wegovy, people can lose up to 5% of their body weight in 6 months. They will regain 2/3 of that in the same amount of time post-medication cessation. On Mounjaro, it's the same, but you regain about 40% of your body weight. So Mounjaro is both a GLP-1 and a GIP agonist, whereas Wegovy is just a GLP-1. Now, if you're like, what the heck is GLP-1? GLP-1 is a hormone that is circulating in your body. GLP-1 is not produced and circulated 24/7, except on injection. When you are taking a GLP-1 injection, it is injected and circulated in your body 24/7. So first of all, GLP-1 is not something that we just always have around. It's actually something that ebbs and flows, sort of like insulin around meal times. On injection, for lack of a better, 2 + 2, GLP-1 is always present. It is always circulating. So I want to talk about Mounjaro specifically because that's something that I have more experience with my clients. So Mounjaro. On Mounjaro, GIP stimulates insulin secretion by the pancreas. So insulin response to food ingestion. Essentially on Mounjaro, the worse you eat, the better it works. Which sounds counterproductive, right? Because you're thinking, okay, any sort of marketing materials around weight loss medication surrounds the concept of using weight loss medication in conjunction with a healthy diet and bettering your lifestyle. So on Mounjaro, technically, if you were to eat more ultra-processed foods, if you were to eat less fiber, if you were to not care about your protein or having meals at regular meal times, the medication would actually work better. Sounds helpful, right? Right. On Mounjaro as well, there's a reduction in lipolysis. Again, sounds a bit counterintuitive. And Mounjaro also increases osteoblast proliferation. So osteoblasts is your bone density building up. But the impact on bone density right now is inconclusive. It might be conclusive down the line. So here are some things to summarize about the use of Mounjaro specifically. It's a GLP-1 and a GIP agonist. So on Mounjaro, the worse you eat, the better off you are. Weird. GIP stimulates insulin secretion by the pancreas. So you need more ultra-processed food. You need more crap food, basically, for this medication to work more effectively. There's a reduction in lipolysis. So there's a reduction in using up and getting rid of fat stores. Again, seems kind of counterintuitive because the whole point of taking something like Mounjaro or Wegovy is to get rid of the fat stores. And it increases osteoblast proliferation. So it increases your bone building capabilities or abilities, but the research around that specifically is inconclusive. So don't quote me on it. Don't go and say, well, Bronwyn told me this is good for my bone health. No, I didn't. I said that on Mounjaro specifically, it increases osteoblast proliferation. Try saying that 5 times fast. So long-term side effects, what does that mean? It means that there's gallbladder issues. Bet you weren't thinking about that, huh? There has been an increase in acute pancreatitis when an individual ceases taking weight loss medication such as Mounjaro or Wegovy, there's a potential for gastroparesis, which is the decreased motility of your gastric muscles and gastric bands. And there's also the long-term side effect of osteoporosis. And that stems from these medications not necessarily targeting fat stores only. When you are taking a weight loss medication, you are running the risk. It's not, don't think it's life-threatening, but it could be. You are running the risk of burning both fat stores and muscle tissue. You probably don't want to get rid of your muscle tissue. You're probably hoping that on a weight loss medication, you're like, right, I'm going to get rid of my fat stores. I'm going to look chiseled because only my muscle is going to be left. Not always the case, because those medications aren't trained to target fat stores. It's not targeted fat loss. We can't just target the fat loss around our waist or around our thighs. When you are on these medications and when you're on a weight loss, fat loss journey in general, you're not guaranteed to lose it from where you expect to or where you desire to. And so on weight loss medication, the same thing kind of goes. You're not guaranteed to lose just fat stores. You could potentially lose muscle tissue as well. So that's why there's a long-term side effect of blanket umbrella where osteoporosis falls under that umbrella, because you could be losing muscle tissue, which could be supporting your skeleton. Right. Gallbladder surgery has increased dramatically. Weight loss meds reduce CCK activity and decrease gallbladder motility. So your gallbladder is responsible for bile production. Your gallbladder and your pancreas are a tag team duo within the bile production, storage, and secretion. You need bile when your food enters the beginning of your small intestine. So food, you swallow. It goes down your esophagus into your stomach. It gets mixed around with acid so that food is broken down into small enough particles to then be sent into your small intestine so that all your nutrients can be absorbed and used in your body. When your food starts to enter the small intestine, bile is injected with that food, because bile, like acid helps your stomach, bile helps your small intestine. So bile mixes with that food breakdown, that layman, I think is what it's called. There's a specific name for what food is called when it's entering into your small intestine. And I sound like an idiot for not being able to rattle it off at the blink of an eye. But here I am blinking furiously and I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I'm blaming postpartum brain. So decrease in gallbladder motility creates bile static. So when food is entering into your small intestine, when you're on a weight loss medication, your bile is produced, but maybe your bile is not injected in the right volume. So your body is not able to keep up with the fact that there's all this bile ready for this food, but GLP-1 medication is there, and perhaps you're on Mounjaro where it's GLP-1 and a GIP antagonist. And so you've got all this bile, but you don't secrete as much of it. You don't circulate as much of it because this medication is operating and is circulating in your bloodstream and in your gut. So a decrease in gallbladder motility creates bile static and increases potential for gallstones. So that's when we've just got bile sitting there, we don't use it, it calcifies, sort of like a kidney stone. Wow, doesn't that sound fun? On the medication, your body doesn't typically take too much notice of it. However, when you're on it for an extended period of time and you cease using weight loss medication, all of a sudden your body's left to its own devices, and it might not be fully able or fully capable to be left to its own devices. It's similar to when I have a female client who's been on contraception, hormonal contraception, for a prolonged period of time, and she wants to stop using it because she's ready to start a family, or she's ready to do embryo freezing or IVF or something like this. You can't just come off contraception if you've been using it for many years and expect your body to be like, cool, and now I have a period, now I have a menstrual cycle. Your body has had assistance, or your body has had some sort of way of artificially, for lack of a better term, modulating that cycle. And it really doesn't know entirely how to do it by itself. It does to a certain degree, but like a regular period probably wouldn't be seen coming straight off contraception unless your diet is on point, your lifestyle is on point. The same thing happens with weight loss medication. When you come off weight loss medication, all of a sudden your body's like, whoa, I've had this GLP-1 circulating and now I've got to go back to circulating it, producing it myself, and figuring out that that's not 24/7 anymore. It's actually only around meal times, and holy cow, what's going on? So when that's happened, your pancreas and your gallbladder go through the same sort of shockwave. They're like, hang on, we have to work. We work normally. How do we work normally? So when people come off of long-term use of weight loss medication, there is an increased risk for potential for gallstones, but gallbladder issues, and in extreme cases, gallbladder surgery. People are having their gallbladders removed because they're coming off this medication, and whoever has been administering it or facilitating the administering of weight loss medication is like, cool, maintain your healthy diet, your lifestyle now, goodbye. It's not helpful, right? It's not. And it can be really scary. It can be really discouraging for people. I can totally understand that. So let's talk about how to support it. If you are currently listening and you are on GLP-1 medication and you have been for long-term use and you're like ready to come off, listen up, because I'm literally about to tell you how to support yourself so that you perhaps do not have to run the risk of developing gallbladder issues, pancreatitis, gastroparesis, osteoporosis. I'm here to help you. This is free practitioner resources, information, and education. You're welcome. It's what I do. And I'm going to do it efficiently because while my child is not napping, he's in daycare and I want to go for a run and then get a coffee and enjoy it. Here we go. First of all, a little brightness about weight loss medication, GLP-1s. They have a positive impact on your microbiome. That's kind of nice. So how can we support GLP-1 production naturally if you are like, I am ready to take off the training wheels and fly free? This is what I would help you with before you come off of the medication. This is something that I'd be working on before you come off it. If it's an idea in your head to come off it within the next 4 to 6 months, this is what I'm working on. If it's in your head to come off it in the next 1 to 3 months, this is also what I'm working on. Resistant starch. Yep, potatoes. If you're in Ireland, do a little hop skipperoo around the room. Potatoes, resistant starch. Not starch that is like inhaled, broken down, used, and move on with life. Resistant, something that's going to be slow on breakdown. Berries and tea. Antioxidants, polyphenols. They're not just for your skin health. They are for GLP-1 production as well. Chocolate and red wine, again, polyphenols, antioxidants. They're for GLP-1 production. So these are foods, I wouldn't say have a glass of red wine every day, okay? I would absolutely advocate for clients to minimize your alcohol intake as much as possible, but I'd be looking at incorporating resistant starch into your food diary into 1 to 2 meals a day, 5 times a week. I'd be looking at berries daily. Berries in your breakfast, berries after lunch as a little sweet treat, berries and baked goods that you make yourself. And I'd be looking at incorporating tea twice a day. That can be green tea, that can be black tea, but something that has that polyphenol antioxidant effect. Chamomile tea, no. Mint tea, also no, unfortunately. Green tea or like herbal black tea. That's what I'd be looking at for GLP-1 production support. If you're on weight loss medication right now and you're wanting to come off, but you want to do it healthfully so that you can perhaps not be part of the statistic of people who regain up to 40% of the weight that they've lost. Turn the page. The other thing that I'm going to do with clients and that I'm trying to do right now with clients on GLP-1s is support mood. Time-restricted feeding can promote tryptophan conversion from bacteria. Tryptophan conversion, what, how, and what does that mean for me? Your body converts tryptophan, which is an amino acid, into serotonin in your gut. That is serotonin that your body can use. And while it is not going straight to your brain, because your brain kind of has its own serotonin circulatory environment, serotonin production happening in the body happens from tryptophan conversion. That supports mood regulation. That supports a bright mood. When we've got a lot of serotonin available, that means that there's more ability for your body to actually use it. So we're supporting mood with time-restricted feeding. No, this is not intermittent fasting. It's simple. Eating regular meals at regular meal times. For example, I have a client who's not big on breakfast. She does not wake up at 7 a.m. starving. She'll have her first meal around 10 a.m. So we try and make sure that her last meal of the day is around 8 p.m. or the last opportunity for eating is around 8 p.m. That's giving her 10 hours in her day, right? Math, yes. 10 hours in her day to eat her meals. And within that 10 hours, not just saying, okay, I'm going to eat a load of food at 10 a.m. and a load of food at 8 p.m. We're having a meal at 10 a.m. She's having a meal around 1 p.m. She's having a snack at 4 p.m. She's having another meal around 6:30, 7 p.m. And she might have another small something at 8 p.m. depending on her hunger levels. The main thing is she's getting meals of substance at like a breaking fast opportunity, a lunch opportunity, and a dinner opportunity. This can promote her tryptophan conversion into serotonin. So we're trying to boost mood. We're trying to support mood. So aside from that, a few general dietary and lifestyle supports that I have seen firsthand work really well for clients and were touched on in this presentation at the NTOI conference. So I was kind of like giving myself a little pat on the back. I was like, cool, I am doing well for people. Increasing your fiber, increasing your healthy fats, making sure you've got sufficient protein, decreasing your processed sugar intake, and sufficient hydration. All of this is to support regular gastro activity, regular contraction and release of all of your gastric muscles. When you've got regular food going in and balanced meals so that your nutrition matches up for your body with your body's needs, means that when you're coming off of this weight loss medication, your body, aside from the fact that it's like, cool, GLP-1 production, where did it go? I've got to produce it myself again. How do I do that? You don't want your body to be worrying about that and freaking out and being like, and now I'm eating healthy? What do I do with all of this? Have these things in place already. 20 to 25 grams of fiber is a lot to get to. So with clients who are really struggling, and I do see it when clients are on weight loss medication, it is hard to eat anything. Crackers, pizza, a salad, it doesn't matter. Your body just looks at it and it's kind of like, oh, this does not look great. I'm trying to get my clients on weight loss medication at the moment to consume 15 to 20 grams of fiber a day, because when you're on weight loss medication, there is a change in bowel habits. It can either run out of you or you have days where you just don't go. There's no rhyme or reason to it from what I can see personally. If there's a practitioner listening to this podcast and you've got insight, I'd love to hear it. Please reach out to me and share your knowledge. But fiber, I'm getting them to eat 15 to 20 grams of fiber a day because that feels manageable in the time restricted eating window. Of course, I'm asking my clients to consume enough protein. Whether you are on weight loss medication or not, please consume enough protein, 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight daily. That is sufficient for now. Decreasing your processed sugar intake. The more processed sugar you consume, the more you are feeding yeast and less ideal bacteria in your gut microbiome, and that the more processed sugar you have, the more insulin is secreted to deal with that processed sugar. And so coming off of weight loss medication, if you all of a sudden decrease your processed sugar, you're running into candida overgrowth, SIBO, you're running into thrush, you're running into like a weird microbiome situation that is not comfortable. So set yourself up for success, decrease your processed sugar intake. Increase your healthy fat consumption. This is for happy hormones. Your hormones are messengers that support every single cycle and process in your body, from your sexual function to your digestion function to your neurological function. Hormones play a role in all of these processes. Hormones need fats in order to operate. They need beneficial fats. Seeds, walnuts, walnut oil, omegas, omega oil, fatty fish, consume them, and sufficient hydration. Because if you are dehydrated, your bowels compact. That increases the bowel irregularity we've been talking about, and it increases your level of discomfort. So general dietary support, tick. Lifestyle support, we're looking at regular exercise, managing stress, consistent meal times with a moderate meal size at your meal times, and supporting that microbiome. So again, back to this client who's been on weight loss medication. We've worked on time restricted feeding. That's felt really good for her. Obviously, she's been adapting to a regular exercise routine. She's working with me. She came to me looking for a personal trainer first. And then when she started talking about possibly going on weight loss medication, that's when we took a stronger hold on her nutrition to set her up for both transitioning onto as well as off of the medication. So regular exercise, this client specifically is training 4 times a week, with a mix of strength training and cardiovascular fitness. Managing stress is not something that I am actively helping with. She's got another tool in her toolkit for that, another professional practitioner guided tool in her toolkit for that. What I am asking her to do is practice mindfulness every day, box breathing for 60 seconds. She might do it before lunch. She might do it when she's out with the dogs in the morning. She might do it at nighttime when she's finally able to log off of work. But I've asked this client to incorporate daily mindfulness. And then the consistent meal times and moderate meal size. We've kind of touched on that already for time restricted feeding. Supporting the microbiome. She's taken a probiotic recently and has felt some relief with that. So along with her probiotic, I've asked her to consume whole grain sources of fiber, whole grain breads, rice, bulgur and quinoa, like a grain like that. It's really helpful. I've also asked to make sure that she's got color on her plate at every meal. Color coming from fruits and veggies. They are not the most dense sources of fiber, but they are fiber sources. So they're very important to have because they're also giving you vitamins and micronutrients. Nuts and seeds are another nice fiber source, and a double whammy because you're getting your beneficial fats from them too. So those are things that I have been working with a client specifically on GLP-1 medication. And those are things that, again, if you're listening, GLP-1 is in your current use or in your future use or in your past use, and you're thinking, wow, I feel rough. Those are all things that you can start incorporating today to support that healthier lifestyle and diet that you get told to incorporate when you even start thinking about weight loss medication in the first place. Some supplements to support GLP-1 and GIP, prebiotic fiber. A prebiotic fiber you do not need in supplement form. You can have a serving of porridge every day. You can have an underripe banana. Things like that. Those are prebiotic. You do not need a prebiotic supplement unless that's something that you feel you would do better on. So prebiotic fiber increases short chain fatty acid production for GLP-1 secretion. So when your body is digesting food, and I probably should have said this about 20 minutes ago, but when your body is digesting food, it's breaking your food down into short-chain fatty acids. And those short-chain fatty acid, the presence of those short-chain fatty acids is what's signaling to your body to produce GLP-1. So when you're on GLP-1 medication, like I said, it's always in your body. It's always circulating in your body. Your body's not necessarily used to that because you're not used to having food in your body 24/7. You're not eating 24/7. Prebiotic fiber increases that short-chain fatty acid production, which is what happens when you eat. And this is why eating at consistent times throughout the day or periodically throughout the day is really helpful. Another thing that you can use on GLP-1 to support GLP-1 and GIP is resveratrol. It enhances insulin sensitivity and reduces nucleogenesis. Resveratrol is another like antioxidant sort of thing. You can find it in herbal teas and your kind of antioxidant foods. You don't need to supplement it specifically, but it can be helpful. Curcumin, turmeric, and black pepper, all nice things for GLP-1 and GIP. Omega-3s, green tea, antioxidants. We talked about that a few moments ago. And I think that's the moral of the story with GLP-1 medication is to support the digestive system. You need to prepare the body for food, not eating in a stress state. Again, that lifestyle support with managing stress, that client specifically is incorporating box breathing, taking time to chew, protecting your esophagus from damage. So raise your head for sleep, sleeping on your left side, not left side, sleeping on your left side. But we're protecting the esophagus because that's where food is entering your digestive system full force. In general, you're looking for symptom improvement without bowel compromise. So when you're looking at making those changes to support your weight loss medication journey, you want to improve symptoms like the burping, the belching, the increased gas. You don't necessarily want to improve those symptoms and be like, cool, now I haven't pooped for a week. You don't want to do that. So yeah, that's that. And like I said, this is coming from a mixed bag of the presentation that I took part in at the NTOI conference, but also my own work with own clients on GLP-1 medication. It's not something to be taken lightly. I was saying this to a client last week. I really admire the courage to go on GLP-1, and not just for microdosing purposes, but taking a serious dose of GLP-1 medication in order to establish weight loss for health reasons, because the side effects of weight loss medication are gnarly. And I'm not talking about the influencers who had hair loss when they were microdosing a GLP-1 and are now taking a supplement that starts with N and ends with Utrafol. I'm not talking about them, although that hair loss side effect is probably not great. I'm talking about the people who are burping, belching, gastric discomfort, stomach discomfort, pooping one day, not going for another 5 days. Those people. You are my people, actually, believe it or not, because when I went to school and I decided, I was like, cool, I'm specializing in gut health, in digestive disorders and gastric comfort for people. I didn't actually realize that this would be perfect for the human population on GLP-1s, because GLP-1s are going nowhere. And I think that's great because they're really helpful when you need them. But you need to support your body when you're about to take them, whilst you're taking them and coming off of them, which is exactly what I do with my clients every day and every week. So that being said, I'm really excited to share that if you want to work with me, if you are on a GLP-1 or you know someone who's on a GLP-1 and needs that nutritional lifestyle support, I'm able to take on new clients. Right now, right this very instant, I'm able to take on new clients to support that GLP-1 journey for you. It's not about doing extreme things. It's about doing the basic things, the boring things really well. And I help with that through my 6-month on-demand Function membership. So Function is, if you haven't heard about it before, Function is a 6-month fitness membership giving you workouts for 6 months, scheduling your workouts for 6 months. All you have to do is open the app and press go. I'm taking care of your functional fitness, your warm-up, your workout, your cool down, your mobility, your core support. All of that is taken care of for you for 6 months. And if you want, I have an option where we can check in one-to-one every week. You can have one strategy session every month to make sure that you are getting the most out of your programming, and especially out of functioning on GLP-1. If you want to learn more about it, I will leave the link to learn more about Function in the show notes. Otherwise, you can email me info@beufitnessandnutrition.com. Connect with me on Instagram, rate and review this episode. I'd love to hear what you'd want